Hello and welcome all you contraltos, mezzos, zwischenfachs and maybe even the odd lady tenor. I'm Fizz Buckland and welcome to the next in this series of singing lessons from English Touring Opera. I'm really looking forward to today. We're going to be looking at what it means to be an alto. Let's get started. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you about today is how you have ended up in the alto section. It's actually one of the rarer voice types, but it tends to be in choirs quite a large group of people that are singing alto, and that can be for a variety of reasons. Of course, there are people who've always been altos like me and have never sung any other voice type, but there are sometimes sopranos who feel nervous about singing high all the time. You have musical people who might not necessarily be most comfortable in the altos, but they can really hold that harmony together, and so the conductor bumps them down. You might have older people whose voice is changing. You might have younger people whose voice is changing. So I often feel like the alto section is a sort of mishmash medley of different types of people. And what I would say that is if you belong in the alto section, it is not so much a matter of range or what notes you can sing, but the colour of those notes and how comfortable you feel while singing them. So, as a brief example, an alto might be expected in a choir. An alto in a choir is very different for solo singing. It's different again for operatic singing. We're going to focus on choir today. So an alto in a choir might reasonably be expected to have a range of a low G to a high F. At the extremes, you might get F sharps and low Fs and the odd high G. But most of the time, you're going to be singing between a sort of a B flat and a C. And I want you to ask yourself, can I sing on those notes indefinitely? If the answer is yes, I could sing in that range all day long, then yeah, you belong in the altos. If you feel like you've really come to life once you start getting up here, maybe you still feel uncomfortable on F sharps and Gs, the likelihood is that you might belong in the soprano section and you just need to work on your fears and work your way up to where your voice really belongs. If you really feel great coming down here, lucky you. You're going to feel absolutely fantastic in choirs, especially in certain kinds of repertoire where those notes are really, really valued. Congratulations. So I want you to just have a wee sing, just because we haven't yet. Let's do some singing. I'm not going to go over posture again. Have a look at my previous videos to have a think about how you want to set up that posture, but make sure you're sitting or standing really well. And we're just going to start on a hum. Nice C major chord. Here we go. Make sure your jaw is relaxed, your tongue is relaxed, and there's a tiny bit of gap, a bit of air between your tongue and the roof of your mouth. Here we go. Breathe. Down we go. Enjoy the buzz in the lips, keep the lips loose. In the eyes. Last one, lift as we go down. Well done. It should feel nice and juicy, nice and warm. I don't need to put any pressure on here right now, because the next thing I want to talk about is something that has been the bane of my life since I was about 15 and I went through puberty and adolescence and my voice changed into my adult voice. And that is something called Passaggio. Now, it may well be that the next 5 minutes mean absolutely nothing to you, and that's totally fine. Or it might be that the next 5 minutes really touch a nerve with you and you think, that's what that is. It might be that you know all about Passaggio already and you can just sit back and enjoy the ride. So, what is it? For me, the easiest way to explain what Passaggio is to show you it in my voice because it is extremely pronounced. I like to think of it as a car changing gear where you have to press down the clutch in order to change gear into the next register of the voice. We've got 3, we've got our chest register, we've got our middle voice, and we've got our head voice. And for me, I have 2 passaggi. One around a middle C, which shows itself as a crack in my voice, and one around sort of EF, which is a little bit of a silence. Here they are, I'm going to show you. I'll start at the bottom of my range and slide all the way up. There you go. Do you want to have a go at that now? Have a look and see if you've got a little crack or a little silence or a little something that feels like a gear change. It might be that you don't have anything at all and you can just slide all the way up with no difficulties whatsoever. And there are plenty of people who can do that. But have a little go, have a little listen. Start somewhere around here. How was that? Did you feel anything? Bananas, right? So I'm not going to concentrate on this one up here, if you had one, because we will rarely need that as altos. So we're just going to look at the passaggio that usually occurs somewhere between A below middle C and F above. And we're going to concentrate on that because if you've done any singing in choirs, you'll know that you have to sing those notes almost all the time, and you have to sing on them a lot, and you have to sing them loudly and quietly, legato, staccato, and sometimes they can be, in my voice anyway, they are the trickiest notes for me to maneuver through. So let's zero in on these notes in this range. We're going to go back to C major, and we're going to choose quite a small vowel to start off with. We're going to start on an oo. Here we go. Just as we did before, breathe. And just because it's a small vowel and a narrow vowel doesn't mean that you can grip onto it. It means that it will naturally feel a little bit more controlled. Here we go. Really important to think upwards as we go down, because otherwise we'll get heavy, we'll get bogged down, and our voice won't be able to manage that gear change. Keep going. Can you feel something wanting to happen? There's a million ways of doing this. So just do what feels most natural for now. So then my voice said, oh, we're gone a bit too low now, we need to go into chest voice. And it gave me a sort of marker or a little exclamation point somewhere that I felt around here, and I thought, oh, okay, and I just let it go through. And the most important advice I can give you is to maintain that breath pressure and maintain that mouth shape. What your voice is going to want to do is make things smaller, reduce the amount of air that's leaving your body so you can control that gear change. And it's going to feel really weird. It's going to feel like not the right thing to do, but bear with it. You might end up with a kind of breathy sound. And that's totally fine, okay? That is totally fine. So after we've done this ooh and we're down here, I want you to, let's go back up again, and we're going to go up slightly higher this time, and we're going to choose a wider vowel. We're going to go for ah. Ah. The differences you might now find to be more pronounced, and that's totally fine. Off we go. Alive through the cheekbones, relax through the jaw. my breath starting to get my voice starting to get a little bit breathy, and I'm allowing it to do that and just maintaining. I think the next one I'm going to have to flip over. It might not be for you, just listen to your own voice. Oh, I made it through another. Another really helpful tip, do a little mini slide between the notes. So rather than ah, which we're used to doing, being very clean and concise in choir, I'm now giving you full permission to go ah, and really experience that full range of microtones in between each step of the scale. Here we go. Two more, and once you're over the hill, just acknowledge that difference between where the root or the kernel of the note sits. And that's different from where you feel things. I would love you to feel the very thin string from the top of the middle of your head right down to the bottom of your tummy that just maintains and is very, very slim. And then the kernel of the note or the kernel of the sound manifests itself in different places. Here we go. So once at a time, by the time I've made it to that bottom A, I'm really feeling it in my intercostal muscles around my ribs. We're going to go two more to really get down there. 3, breathe. Notice that tongue, is it a help or a hindrance? Think about where you're going to end up in this phrase. Am I going to end up in chest or head? And how does that inform the note that I start on? So there, we were in G major and we were starting on a D, which I would usually sing in my middle voice. But because I knew I was heading for this bottom G, I started in chest. Let's do that one again. Is this the same for you? Bravo. Now, what about singing loudly and singing quietly over Passaggio? This is slightly different when we've got, from when we have nice legato lines like we were just doing. We can really practice that sort of mixing and blending of the different registers. But if we've got something very, very quiet or something very, very loud or something that does both in a short space of time, then we need to make conscious decisions about where we're going to use chest voice and where we're going to use that middle voice. So for me, like something like a C, ah, loud is going to be chest. Quiet, ah, is going to be head. Unless it's angry, in which case I might use quiet chest. Ah. And these are decisions that you don't have to wait for your conductor to make for you. They're ones that you can do on your own and within the context of a wider piece, within a context of how tired you are. These are all things that are so personal to you, and I just want to give you ideas and to reassure you that everything that you're feeling is totally fine. Right, we're going to move on to some fantastic alto repertoire now. I'll see you in the next section. There's no way that I could do a singing lesson about altos without touching on Handel's masterwork, Messiah. If, like me, you have the Watkins Shaw edited Novello edition, run and grab it now, pause the video if you need to. We are going to be looking at page 60 and 61 in this edition, and it is the chorus For Unto Us a Child is Born. It's super, super famous. If you've sung in any choir or choral society, the chances are you've sung Handel's Messiah. And maybe you have turned over from page 59 to page 60 and suddenly been confronted with a whole load of semiquavers and gone, oh, what on earth do I do about that? So this type of writing is called coloratura. Coloratura, if you don't know, is the type of music where you sing more or many, many notes on one syllable. Ah. Can you tell that I am not a natural coloratura voice? That's fine. There are ways around it. So if, like me, you feel stressed when you see lots of semiquavers, there is a long way around the houses that will get you there just as quickly as your neighbours who find they can just do it simply. And there are people who can. Anyway, for the rest of us, here we go. So looking at page 60, at the bottom, have we got bar numbers here? Oh, how helpful. Yes, we do. So we're looking at bar 54, 5, 6. Unto us a child is born. And then suddenly we get to these semiquavers. The first thing to do is to split them into musical groups. How many of these semiquavers form a little phrase, a mini phrase by itself? This is something that you can apply to all coloratura, by the way. It should work, it should work. Okay, so if we look at this first bit, ya ba 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 bum. Oh, that kind of sounds nice by itself. For unto us a child is born. Okay. So then we take that little section and we practice it slow. Oh, your turn. Use the metronome. I'm going to use my fingers for you now. We're going to get slightly faster. 3 and 4. On, 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 There you go, and suddenly you've sung 4 notes very, very quickly indeed. Yes, it's a long way around, but trust me, it works. So now we've got those first 4. So then we look and see, where does the next group of semiquavers finish naturally? We've done ya, da dee da da dum, ya dee 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 dum. Okay, la ba ba bum bum, section 1, ba dee da dee da dee da dum. Ba-dee-da-dee-da-dums are really, really helpful doing stuff like this, FYI. Let's do to biddy-da-dee-da-dum. The first section, little pause, second section. Here we go. Be-da-dee-da-dum, ba-dee-da-dee-da-dee-da-dum. Any combination of ba-dee-da-dee-da-doo-da-doo-da, whatever helps. So let's take that little, get your pencil by the way, make a little note. Where's section number 1, the first 4 semiquavers? And the next section goes ba-doo-da-dee-da-dee-da-dum. So that goes 5 semiquavers into the following bar. So let's take section number 2. Born. We're now using the correct vowel. Oh, here we go. Born. And same thing. Oh, hang on. Oh, I know what I've done there, but it's good. It's good what I've done. I've taken the last note of the previous section, that E, and linked it to the first note of the next section. I should have said that at the beginning. Take the last note of the first one and link it to the next one, because you'll need that later. So from that E again. Second section. 3, 4. On. 2 more times. 3, 4. On. Well done. Put those 2 together. You see where I'm heading with this, don't you? Here we go. 1 and 2. On. Again. On. Last time. On. I lied. On. Well done. And I would like you now, and I literally have to do this slowly for every piece of coloratura I've ever sung in my life. So you're not alone in thinking, gosh, this is a long way around. Yes, it is, but it works. The last thing so I would like to then go through the rest of that phrase and decide where the smaller musical phrases are and do those in isolation, and then you link them together. And the last little tip I have for you is to find where the stress of each of those little phrases is, because it might not be on the beat. So for me, in this particular phrase, ya dee da dee da dee da dee da da dee da dee is all kind of one, but then it kind of repeats. Dee da dee da dee da dee 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 dee. Yeah, and I like to stress the lead in to the next bit. Ya dee da 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 dee da dee da dee 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 dee. Yeah, it's always that upbeat feeling. Ya ba ba bum, do da da dee, ba da ba dum. Okay, we're going to do, assuming that you've sung this phrase before. If you haven't, take 2 minutes now and just sort of vaguely work your way through it, but think, gosh, I'm nowhere near. That's fine. Nor is anybody else, in my mind. We're going to do the whole phrase slow, but with those accents or those upbeats or those lead-ins to the next little bit of coloratura. We're going to go at this speed. For unto us, here we go. For unto us a child is born. Good. Woo. I realised I hadn't thought about how I would put the last little bit on, so let's do the last little bit now. So because we're doing the end, I think I'd probably put a little extra accent, just to show everyone that we're coming to the end of our bit. But that's literally as slow as I was. I mean, that was probably even faster than I would initially learn that little bit of coloratura. I would probably go, born. In fact, why don't we do it that slow together? And if I look at the page rather than you, that's because I'm concentrating really hard. But don't worry, we get there together. Breathe whenever you want. 4, 2, 3, and breathe. For unto us a child is Good. If you've got that far, you're already doing fantastically well. Just take it piece by piece, brick by brick, link those bricks together and decide where are the upbeats that give this whole, it doesn't look like it has any structure, but it does. You have to find that internal structure of mini phrases that lead into each other with little bits of crescendo and decrescendo and shaping with your voice. You'll be totally fine. And that will work, I hope, for almost every bit of this sort of coloratura that you have to do in choral singing. But we're now going to look at another piece of music. See you in the next section. Okay guys, we're going to move on to another absolutely towering masterwork of an oratorio, the Johannes Passion or the St. John Passion by J.S. Bach. You can see I've got back with me my lovely little arc with the vowels on it. We might refer to it later. I just wanted it there in case I feel like we need it. The edition I'm using is Breitkopf und Hertel. I hope you have one or that you can find where we are. I'm on page 10 of that. It's the first movement, Herr unser Herrscher. And I picked this little bit, it's just a tiny little phrase that we're going to look at, just 4 bars, because it has a really large range in it. It goes from a bottom G to a top E flat, which is almost the whole range which I said at the beginning of the lesson that altos might be expected to sing comfortably. I'm going to play it for you, or sing it possibly, depends which one I do better. I'll try both at the same time. It's at the top of page 10, bar 65. Dass du Gottessohn, zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Oh my goodness, I had to really concentrate for that. So forgive me for any kind of dodgy sounding music that I made there. But it's okay, we're here to learn this together. So I picked this because I trust you to now know how to sort out those coloratura bits earlier in the movement. I picked this because we've got large jumps in the repertoire. Starts with an octave, and from that E flat, we only have half a bar until we're singing a G. So we're going to look at Passaggio here and how we negotiate that very, very quickly. And I've got two ways of this. Well, sort of. Let's just get into it. Right. This first bit, dass du. We're doing an octave, but I don't want you to feel like you have to throw your voice right down to the bottom. Dass du ever, because we're going almost immediately straight back up to an E flat. So this is the first trick. I want you to imagine that the whole of that phrase is all sung on this. So I just want you to go for La, and I'd like you to sing the rhythm to La on a top D. Give you a second to get your head around that. Right, here we go. Good. And you feel how hard you had to work for that, how you had to use your posture. If you didn't, then maybe you sort your posture, think about the breath, and we're going to do that once more. Here we go. Very good. And that's the kind of effort that we want for that whole phrase, even though we're doing big octave leaps down. So now, with all of that lift and all of that work, you might find that that D feels a bit lighter, and that's fine. That is fine, okay? Here we go. 3 and 4. Dass du der wahre Gottessohn. Good. Last trick is thinking about vowels. When we're doing big leaps in the voice, we need to try and do as little as possible elsewhere so that it all sounds homogeneous and joined up and legato. So he's given us a lovely das, lovely big bright open R. We're going to keep that as much as we can, which is why we sang La at the beginning. Dass du wahre Gottessohn. Can you hear I'm sort of cheating a little bit and putting a bit of R through as many of those vowels as I possibly can? Here we go, I'm referring to it. So we've got R right in the middle, which is fantastic because it means we can sort of squeeze all the front vowels. Here we go. We can squeeze all the front vowels towards the middle, and we can squeeze all the back vowels towards the middle as well. Actually, I don't like the word squeeze, but sort of manipulate and maneuver. Okay, have a little go of that with me. Just making everything as Irish as we can. 3 and 4. Dass du wahre Gottessohn. Good. That's the first half. Oh, in fact, let's do it again, but a little bit faster. 1, dum, dum, 3 and 4. Dass du der wahre Gottessohn. Good. And I've been saying 3, 4, but it actually starts halfway through the bar. So now let's put it in the context of the counting. So we're going to go after 2. 1, 2. Dass du der wahre Gottessohn. Good. All up here. And then I bet you're thinking, but Felicity, the next thing we've got to sing is a bottom G. Very true. But if we look at that whole phrase, the next phrase that arrives, zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit, hardly any of that, no, well, none of that goes above a G here. So I would say for this next phrase, we need an entirely different approach because we're going to be using a lot of chest voice and a lot of middle voice, and we're not going to need this kind of sensation at all. So we want to finish that phrase, God is on, finish. And I don't often say this, but we're going to leave it behind there. And you can see all my hands were up here and all my ha 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 ha. Now let's re-engage with the chest voice down here. Give me a little Ah. Okay, now let's do the same thing, la to la, but we're going to do it all on a bottom G now. Nice and gentle, don't push anything, don't strain anything. If it's painful, stop immediately, pick a higher note, this one or this one or this one. Okay, we're going to do it in the rhythm. 1, 2, 1, 2. Oh my goodness. Let's try that again. Just the rhythm on a bottom G. 1 and 2. La 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 la. Very good. Now here. 1, 2. La 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 la. And finally here, you might have changed register, but that's fine. We just want to get them close to each other or friendly with each other. La 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 la. Good. Now las, but with a tune. 1 and 2. La 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 la. Can we tell how when we did that one there, it was maybe borderline, but it allowed us to do that little G and come back without feeling like we were really stretching for it. If you didn't notice that, let's do it again. Let's notice this time. 1, 2. La 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 la. Good. With words at that speed. 1, 2. Zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Good. Now, if you were ahead of the game and were trying to do that nice open R, you might have found it just slightly, that it didn't work as well, and it's because we're in a different register and we need a different approach. So rather than that ah that we needed for up here, here we need a ah. It's more along the sort of bottom back molars. If you can get those away from the top back molars, you can get that kind of rich, creamy, unforced chest voice. And imagine that. Remember we talked about broadening across the collarbones? That's when we really want that as well. Okay? Zur aller Zeit. So I'm going to go... Do you know what? I'm going to let you decide because everybody's voice is different. Have a look at this. Don't pick oo or e. Pick somewhere along the spectrum. Pick a vowel that you're going to think, this feels nice and juicy in my voice. I'm going to try and make all of the vowels marry to this vowel. I haven't decided which one I'm going to do yet. But pause the video, have a think. Here we go again. 1 and. Zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Good. Do it correctly, I did the last 2 quavers wrong. Again, slightly faster. 1 and. Zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Last time. 1 and. Zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Good. Breathe. Reset. We're going to do the first phrase again. 1, 2. Dass du der wahre Gottessohn zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Tricky, huh? We're going to do it 2 more times. 2 approaches. 1 here, 1 here. Here we go again. 1, breathe. Dass du der wahre Gottessohn zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Haha. Last time, shake it out. Got to make that switch really, really quick. We're here, breathe, we're here. That can be in the breath as well. The first breath, the second breath. Here we go. 1, breathe. Dass du der wahre Gottessohn zu aller Zeit auch in der größten Niedrigkeit. Bravo, everyone. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, guys. I could have gone on and on and on. I really enjoyed getting into the parts of the nitty-gritty of being an alto. I will see you on the next lesson when we're going to look at what to expect and how to prepare for that all-important first day back in rehearsal. Take care, stay safe. I'll see you soon.